All right, welcome to episode 5. We are going to continue in our study and understanding of strings, which again, remember they are an array. So, first thing I want to do is assign a string to the variable of x, and we will just say I am a string. That will be our x variable. Now I want to go over the indexes again of an array. So at index 0 we have the I. At index 1 we will have the space. Let me go ahead and comment this out just so it doesn't give us a headache. See if I can get it to line up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 0 is going to be 10, 11, and 12. Just use your imagination with those ones. And I want to illustrate this because we are going to learn how to slice a string. So slicing in Python is a way to get certain indexes from a string. You can do it from the beginning to a certain number. You can do it from a number to another number. You can do it from a number to the end. Excuse me. So this is very important. So for this, we will just do x. So we're going to call the variable x, which remember is an array. So this is the symbol for an array or a list in Python. And inside of that, we are going to choose, first we'll just take from an index to another index. So we'll just do like 2, and then we use a colon, and we'll go to 6. We'll go ahead and save that, and you can see we're in file 5.py here. We'll open the new terminal, and it already has us in there, and we will just execute 5.py, and you see that it returns the characters A, M, space, A. So it doesn't return the last space, which is kind of hard to see, so we'll actually go up to 8 here, and we'll run it again. And, oops, still up there. So we'll run it again, and now you can see that it goes through the S and stops. So if we come up here, S is actually the 7th indexed element, so it's at index 7, so it's not printing the T, which is index of 8. So it's stopping before 8. So it prints everything in between. And it does print element at index 2, which is the A. So it does print the first number, and it stops before the last number if you're using this for the slice method. The other thing you could do is you can, as we said before, you can print starting at a certain position. So we'll just do the same thing. We'll just start at 2. And we'll just let it run. And this is how you would do that. You would just do 2 colon, and you wouldn't enter another argument. Save it, run. You see that it prints in a string. Now if we do the same thing, we do print. I'll zoom in a little bit, just so this is easier to see. Do X, we do the array brackets, which are not curly brackets. And now we will start with the colon, so we want everything up to index 8. So again, it won't print index 8, but it will print everything up to index 8. So we see I am a S. And again, that's index 7. So that is how we slice a string. All right, now we're going to talk about upper and lower, which are some other methods in Python. And it will return a string in uppercase or lowercase. So we'll just assign a string, which we'll just say hello world, the default string. We'll do some capitals and some lower cases in there, and we will just say print x, and it's just upper. Make sure that you have these brackets to execute the function or method after this. So we're just saying to execute that on the variable of x. So x.upper, and this is available in a lot of programming languages, and you'll do something kind of similar to that. So we save, we'll execute that file, and you see that it capitalized every character in that string. So likewise, if we do print lower with x.lower, and then we do our brackets, go ahead and save that, and we'll just comment out the upper. If I can click. Save, hello world, execute, all lowercase. And if you're kind of wondering, like, when you would uppercase or lowercase an entire string. You might not, but you might if you want something to be case sensitive. And you also will commonly use what we already learned, which is slicing a string. So you will slice a string, uppercase the first letter in that string if you want, and then you can rejoin the string, which we'll cover later. So another thing you can do is remove white space out of a string, and that is with the strip method. So we will do this and demonstrate that really quick. We will print X, and again, strip, and make sure you put your brackets so that it executes strip, and then we're just printing the result of it, so passing that into print as an argument, just a little refresher there. Then we'll go ahead and execute that. Ooh, searching. So if we have any kind of, I didn't put white space in here, it would probably help if I do that. So we'll do a period, and then we'll have white space. Save, get out of here. And then you see that it is removing that. So it's hard to tell, but it is actually getting rid of the white space in there. Alright, so to just demonstrate this better, I wanted to do a multi-line string, so you can tell there's a bunch of white space here. And so I saved that, I did a multi-line string, and then when we execute it, you'll see there's no extra line, because it's removing that white space. Okay, another string method that's available in Python is the replace method. So we'll write another string, hello world for simplicity, and we will print x.place, execute that, and for replace, the arguments you need is what you're going to replace and what you're going to replace it with. So we will just replace the H here, and we will replace it with a capital A. Go ahead and save that, execute, and now you see hello world. So it's really good for accents or anything else you want to add, and that's just sarcasm due to my poor pronunciation. And the next thing we'll cover is the split method. So let me go ahead and just comment this out really quick. There, so we'll have x equals world, exclamation point this time because we're excited. And then we will print x.split. And this is kind of what I was talking about before. You could split like on a space. So whatever you put in here is where it will split. And we'll do a couple of these just so you can kind of get the hang of it. But for now, we'll just do that one, save, execute. And you see now it's breaking it into an array, and it's making each one into its own element. So now this is index 1, and this will be index 2. So you can do something like new array equals, and then we can do x.split, and we'll split it on a space, if I can type correctly. Okay, and then we can also say, so let's just get rid of this really quick. And we will print new r of 0. So we're going to, I'll break this down in a sec. So we'll save it, we'll print it, and you see hello. So what we're getting is we're taking hello world, this entire string in X, we're splitting it into a new array. We're saving that to the variable that I have cleverly named new array. This array contains this right here is what the array is. So we'll just print that. So this is what we're getting now. Now when we're printing, new array index of 0 is the entire string of hello. And index of 1 is world. So if we replace that with 1, we save, we run that again, you will see world with the exclamation point because it's splitting on spaces, and the only space we have is here. So you're also able to do this with like an L. So we could split it on the L, and now if we do the index of 0, you'll see that it's just he because it's split on that first L. And we can actually return the entire array. You can just print this entire variable if you want to see what it is. So now you can see how it broke it up. And notice that when it's splitting, it's removing that character from the string. So it's removing this L, it splits, it recognizes that there's another L, and it splits. So that's why we're getting this empty character. And then you're getting the O, right? And then we have a space, which it's putting in also right here. I should be using this. So you're getting this O, this space, and this WOR. So that's why this is index number 2 all by itself. Then it splits and cuts out that L, and then it makes D exclamation point the next element in that array. So this array actually has 4 total elements in it, which means 3 indexes, right? So we can print new array 0, which we've already done. So then we'll do 1. Just kind of show you that we'll have that dead space, right? There's nothing there. 2 is that O-word, and then 3, because it's 4 elements long, D exclamation point. So that's one of the points that I'm going to just keep reiterating, because it's something that you need to get used to, is that arrays start at element 0, index 0 for element 1, sorry. So index 0 is element 1. So just keep practicing that. You might already have it down, and if you do, great job. Now we'll cover concatenation. Concatenation is basically just adding things together. It's not always numbers, so concatenation is a good word for it. Just so that you know, concatenation just means to combine anything. So basically we could have 2 strings, so we can have X, which just equals hello, and we can have Y, which is equal to world. Now, if there's no space in here, we'll just do it without a space first, just so I can show you. And then you can say something like Z equals X plus Y. So this is our concatenation. And then we can print Z as we've done before. And you'll see, we'll save it. And you see hello world, and you see there's no space. So if you add that space, and then print, and then just remember, if you're using this with something like strip, where you're removing dead space, you could have an issue there. So just, if you're running all that stuff together, that's why it's important to know what each of these methods and functions does, and to get some practice with them. You'll use some way more often than others. You'll definitely use like the replace, you'll use upper, lower, you'll use split a lot. So they're all very good things to know and good things to practice. And then we can also add like the space in a different way. We can actually remove it here, and you can do something like this. So you can actually just inline. So anytime you're not necessarily saving like a variable, you're going to do something inline like this. That's what that is. So this is inline code. So we're not saving this space to variable C or S or anything else. We're just saving it there. And Python will also do that. So it adds that space. See, and you could do like a symbol or something just to really illustrate that. So you see that it's adding that string. And if you were wondering, yes, you could just type all the strings inline. Typically you're not doing that because you're kind of getting variables from maybe an external source or something. And then you would concatenate them for whatever reason. For instance, like a lot of passwords are hashed and encoded and like encrypted, and you'll see how that all works. So you're usually having kind of like a hash that you add to an encoded password, and that's how you're getting the encryption, is you're adding that hash. So that's definitely a lot further down this episode or this series, but we'll cover that eventually, just so you know that there is a use case for that. Okay, now when we're concatenating, remember that you have to have the strings or we run into those issues. Remember when we tried to combine numbers, so if we have like x equals 10 and then y is a string, I am a fan of the number, and then we try to do something like printing that out, or if we do like this plus x, we'll just do that for simplicity, and then we want to print y, we'll see that we get this error. So we can't concatenate that way, but there is a method that allows us to do this, and that method is format. So we would be able to format this, and how we will do that is instead of this plus x, you'll come in here and you'll put the curly brackets wherever you want the variable plugged into the string. So that's where we'll be putting an X. And how we would do that is we will take Y dot format, we'll execute that if I can spell it correctly, and inside of here you will put the variable that you want formatted into those curly brackets. We go ahead, we save that, now we run our file, and you see I'm a fan of the number 10. So this is a way to insert an integer into a string. So, very useful. You are also able to format multiple variables. So we'll do like, just do a couple more over here. A will be 8 or 9, I guess, because I fat fingered it. B can be 15. So we can change this string and say I'm a fan of the number, which we still want to be 10. So we could have something like this. So format can take an unlimited amount of arguments. The order of those arguments, of course, matters. So if we want to do this and we're 9 years old and your brother's 15, we can pass in these arguments this way, run it, and you see I'm a fan of the number 10, so it keeps that X as the first, even though they're listed A, B, X. So it's just important which way you're listing them when you're as arguments when you're executing the format method. I am 9 years old, my brother is 15 years old. So obviously, just for demonstration, we'll mix these up and show you that it still runs. Obviously, the numbers are in a different spot. So just make sure you have them in the right order when you call that format code. And you can add unlimited variables into that and just do a new bracket for each one, and it will plug them in accordingly. Another way to get around that, like having to ensure that they're in the right order, is you can actually index the numbers to make sure that your arguments are placed in the correct placeholder. So how you would do that is you would just enter a number in here. So if we have that prior one where we're doing XAB, save, and remember we print, and it's 10, 9, 15, I'll show you that we can move those around. So this would be 0, 1, and 2. So if we want B here, and we want A here, although I guess A was already there, so we'll do 0, and we'll do A here. 1 years old. Save, execute. You see it moves the numbers around. So you're able to just treat this as an array, with these being the index, the arguments as the index, or the elements at each index, right? So we have 0, 1, and 2, and then we want this to be 0, so you can see that X is 10. This is saying to use I am 10 years old, and you see that's what we're getting here as the output. So I'm probably beating that horse to death, but it's useful information to know.